Hi there. Just wanted to record a short video for today talking about the importance of the base chakra. So there's 7 main chakras, for the simplistic term of it, and the reason why I'm mentioning about the base chakras for a few reasons. I'm on being born in April, and it's also my name there is as a missing type vibration. So this is one area in my life where I didn't really have a solid foundation with things. I mastered well at one point as a commercial pilot. Yeah, I had a well-paying job at the time. And what I'm learning as I'm going deeper inside, and for a number of years now, what I've really learned with this, as a spiritual being living this physical world here, from the heart chakra going upwards, we tap into the spiritual world at one point. And in order for me to do that, I had to go into the main part of the brow chakra, and I had to unplug all those entanglements. And once I started clearing that out, and that was a job in itself, I found out at one point, a while later, that in this base chakra, in the hips there's a lot of recorded information. So the base chakra records everything. When we show up here, when we splash into this world, the job, the family, the first 9 years. And I'm emphasizing this, the first 9 years, because the first 9 years, this is where everything's recorded. So the subconscious is like a sponge. Like as a kid, we all absorb everything. And we're absorbing things like the mom, how's mom doing, how's dad doing, how's the family environment doing, what's the situation like, what's the energy like at home. That's where it starts. That's where most things start. And from the soul's aware that when we show up here, all of us, when we volunteer on behalf of the soul, at one point we're going to run into a thing called an emotional experience, and it normally happens between the ages of, say, 5 to 9. And then this is where it can affect usually the whatever's the way that we're thinking up here, and to the base chakra. I'm emphasizing about the base chakra because this is the foundation. And I wish this was taught to me, or I had a better understanding of it growing up. And I'm simply sharing this information now that in order, as I continue in life, as I progress and as I learn, as I grow and with everything else, I found out that it's super important that the foundation has to be solid. And if the foundation isn't solid, and especially now in this new consciousness, in this new 5D elevated consciousness, anything from the past that I didn't deal with, or anything that I had masked, or anything that I was aware of deep down inside, if I didn't deal with it, and the 5D now, the 5D is going to say, hey, there's something you need to do to go back inside. And you had to do the inside job to go back in saying, hey, using me as the example, I had masked things to a certain point very well. At one point as a commercial pilot, they had the allure. I could have been as a captain right now. However, I stepped out of it, and I showed the universe I was willing to pursue my soul calling with this. Whatever you need to do with it, I'm simply sharing that the importance of the base chakra. If there's no foundation, and yeah, at one point I had the nice sport bikes, skydiving, flying, and it was a lot of fun. However, in this physical world, there was also a lot of other areas where even back then, had I not dealt with things properly, because the base chakra is sitting on a chair. And it's usually the chair's got 4 legs. And living in this physical world is dealing with the mental and the emotional pillar. And if those pillars aren't properly dealt with, they affect the physical one. And with that aside, then you have the spiritual pillar. So it became very evident that more and more of it now is the importance of making sure that the foundation inside is always rock solid. And that was something I didn't have growing up. And I'm saying this that there's no judgment, there's no blame with this. There was a lot of good lessons I got out of it. Unbelievable amount of growth. What I didn't get, it wasn't saying so much that as an experience, that when we show up here, the soul's making sure that we live in this physical world, and it's my responsibility to deal with whatever's in this physical world and doing it to the best of my ability. The soul itself has no wish, has no desire with being in this physical world. I'm mentioning it like that because when a soul decides to show up here, the soul may invest, say, 50 to 150, maybe 200 years of its time prior to us showing up here. So the soul's not wasting its time for the sake of showing up here, because there's something else here that has to get done. So once I became aware of that, then it was my responsibility and my ownership to do whatever it takes to deal with this physical world. And I just wanted to just create like a short video about this, because the base chakra is everything. It's the foundation. And what had screwed up my life at one point is my foundation on the inside, it wasn't solid. And like anything, the advanced stuff got fairly easy, but it was the basics, it was mastering the basics. And what I really learned later on is, with all the hype, with all the self-development work and everything else, for myself, the best thing I ever did was I went back into here and I literally unplugged all the programming from this 3D world and from the other past lifetimes, and energetically the same thing in the base chakra. And as that all got unplugged, then when you start working with the soul and with the light being, you start anchoring the new energy, the new vibrations, and there's all kind of other cool things you can start embodying with this. So there's work involved with it. It's not rocket science. It just takes a lot of commitment. And once a person really commits to it and they make things happen, your light being or your guidance, your inner compass, it'll steer you right with where you need to go with this. And it's a matter of trusting the heart, and then you just keep moving with it. I want to really share this because we're entering into this new consciousness. So for the last, say 11 or 12 years, Mother Earth put out a distress signal, and this realm that we're living in is in the 3D. However, for the last 12 years, we're finally into the 5D. So as an energy, the planet itself is not in the 5D. The energy of it is. So there is a difference with that. In order to go strong with this in a positive way, I'm simply sharing the importance of making sure that the inner foundation is solid, because at one point if we keep elevating, and I think it's for all of us, humanity as itself, or as a soul ambassador, we're all coming here, for myself as the example, to up level and being the better version of things. And I'm very aware now that if I skip any steps of growth, or if I bypass anything, this is when the universe or the soul is going to say, it's not going to work. And especially if I have one foot in the 4D, one foot in the 5D, and I have another one, say, down in the 3D, at any time the universe can bring me right back down here again to make sure that I go back in and unplug whatever that entanglement is, or that cord is, clearing it out, and make this is part of the growth of this. This is part of my growth, and it's to ensure that I'm growing, and as I'm growing and clearing everything out, the soul's progressing along with it. So I just wanted to share that, and it's something that's very special, very near and dear to me, and I am aware that in this new consciousness, and just wanted as a reminder there, the soul or the universe, it'll bring or put anyone down to their knees, not in a bad way or in a negative way, but it will do so to get someone's attention that none of us are here on a picnic. So none of us are just coming here to tap into the spiritual world and without doing any of the necessary shadow work. And the shadow work is not something where you spend a lot of time in it, but it's something that's part of this physical world. When we show up here, we agreed to prior showing up here that we'll spend the time, whatever's required, to go within and clean all of it up. And it's to clean it up as quickly as one can, and then fast track with it, saying thank you very much, and then moving on with one's life. So there is a very, very important essence to that, and personal responsibility with it. So I just want to emphasize there's no judgment, there's no blame for whatever happened growing up. It's just at one point I had to take ownership of it on a different level, saying thank you very much, thank you for the experiences. I no longer need that nonsense anymore. So that's all I wanted to share for today. So I'm just going to continue my walk in the sunshine, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Share and or like the video. Until next time, be kind to yourself, treat each other well, and enjoy the rest of your day.